Hey everyone, I want to do something a little different and give some solid information on ways to improve using all your letters. I've done a shorter video of this before, but I'm going to take a different approach this time. Um, I know I can help anyone use all their letters more if you give me a little bit of time, because if you're struggling to do it, there are just certain things you need to pay attention to. There's little tricks you can do, um, just things you can look for. Um, I've used all my letters 10,608 times. I know a little something about this. There's people that are better than this at me, but I'm pretty good. I average using all my letters a little over one time per game, and it's taken me a long time to get to that point. And it's not going to happen overnight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single active game I have right now and the most recently completed games and show you every single board I've played and show you how often I've used all my letters. Now this game right here, it looks like I haven't used all my letters yet. And that's going to happen because some games you're going to use all your letters 2 or 3 times, and you'll have a lot of games you just use it once, and you'll have some games you use it 0. So this game is at 0, and I like to use all my letters at least once every game, but those games do happen. Well, here, looks like I've done it twice. I did Maltier, and I did Snacked. Now if we zoom in, we can see that when I did Snacked, I had a blank. And a lot of times you use all your letters, you're going to see that I'm using blanks. In fact, I'm kind of curious to see how often I am using blanks. And here it's just a word that ends in IER. You're going to see a lot of that too. Anytime you have IER, look for a common 4-letter word. See if you can add IER to the end of it. It's same with IEST. You're going to see me use IEST and IER a lot. And you're going to notice that I'm not doing crazy words. I'm doing a lot of everyday words and getting significant points for it. Here, another everyday word, hoagies. I did hoagies in this board. Used all my letters 1 time. Let's see if I used a blank on this word. I did. The G is a blank. And so, I mean, the word meter is going to tell you if you have a big move. And if it's obvious that it's not some just triple word to triple letter kind of thing, you're probably able to use all your letters. And then you're just looking for a place, a nice open space that you can rip that move off. And here, you know, you're gonna look for words like that start in letters like this, because you'll know that if you see an R, if you're working on the right side of the R, it has to be an E. It's the only letter it goes. And then if you have an O, it's a solid place for a D or an S. A lot of words end in D and S. And you're going to look for places like that to, you know, unload those letters. And I'm not going to keep any stats while I do this. Obviously, that game just started. Let's look at this game. This game, I've used all my letters twice. And again, this was the first move of the game. This is another thing. First move of the game, if you know, usually first move of the game, if you don't have like a 10-point letter tile in your rack, if you just have like a 4 as like your biggest, and you lay out a 20-25-point move and it's the biggest thing you have, then you can't use all your letters. But if you lay out a 25-point move and it says you have a much bigger move, then you know you can use all your letters. It's just a matter of finding it. And you know, with a Q, you know that the U, you already have 2 letters figured out because you know it's going to be QU, and then likely it's going to be an I or an A is the next letter. So this was a very easy one to find. And then treading. Okay, this is an ING move. And I don't need to use all my letters. I don't need to, sorry, I misspoke. I don't need to necessarily have a blank tile to do a word like treading, or in fact, if you have a blank tile at the very beginning of the game, you can use all your letters. It's actually kind of easier to not have a blank tile, because it kind of really just narrows down the possibilities. So the fact that I didn't have a blank, I had a Q and a U, made it really easy. And then ing. I'm always looking for ing words. So I had ing in my rack. I had 2 vowels. So it was easy to just work off that I that was already out there, see if I have anything. Reading was an easy word to find. Treading, of course, just lay out the T in front and you're done. And anytime you have a blank tile, you should be trying to use all your letters. I have a blank now in this game, but I have 5 vowels. So the reason I haven't gone in this game is because I can do this move, but then if my opponent has a P, they can do a P, they can do beep, and maybe a word starting in UP, and then you score a ton of points. So I'm trying to think of a creative way to go here and not leave an easy opportunity for my opponent to come back in this game. So that's why I haven't gone in that game. That opponent watched some of my videos, so he might. And here, I did the word cooties. You know, that was a popular word when you're in school, in grade school. You know, the girls and the guys say you have cooties. But you zoom on this word, and you see the S is a blank. So once again, another example of me using an S as a blank. This is a word with 4 vowels, okay? So you know the blank is going to be a consonant. Not only that, you know that because you have 4 vowels, the 2 O's are probably going to be together. So it makes it really easy kind of to know that you're going to have like probably a consonant and 2 O's, then the T or a blank. The blank's going to be something. But probably the word's going to end, probably not going to end in a T, because the word can't end in IEST because you have way too many vowels, so it has to be broken up. It has to be more broken up than that. So you kind of know that it's going to be like OO, surrounded by consonants, and then IE, because, you know, there's very few instances of EI. You know, I before E, except after C. So once again, it doesn't look. Did I use all my letters again in this game? I don't think I did. So the opponent played plunder, and I don't think that was all the letters. Oh, and I can use all my letters now. Actually, my opponent either fell for a trap or is being kind. I've been swapping in this. I've been passing in this game because I can do drizzly, and I think YOM was accepted. So now I can actually do my drizzly. And here I am again. Oh, I do that sometimes. I pressed it too soon. I actually probably could have moved that over 1 spot and scored more points, but it's fine. I had a 100-point move there. But once again, me using all my letters is on blank. So this game I've used all my letters twice, both times with a blank. And once again, you know, it's pretty easy to see that the word's going to end in ly, that the I is gonna be removed from that, and then just figuring out how to function with that blank tile, and pulling the, you know, and I'm gonna say this a lot probably in this video, but double consonants or repeating consonants is always a great thing to look for. So here was ZZ, you know, TTERS is a big one. Anytime you have TTERS, you should almost always be using all your letters, as long as the other 2 letters are somewhat manageable along with the board. Always need room to use all your letters. That's always, you know, thing number 1. That's why it's so easy to use all your letters the most at the beginning of games. Once the board gets kind of crowded later in the game, it can be very difficult. Maybe you can use all your letters, but you can't put it anywhere. And let's see, where were we here? I just went, so that kind of messed things up a little bit. We looked at this game. So next game. Haven't used all my letters yet, and it doesn't look like I can. There's no available N to do an ing move, so that game not yet. This game looks like I did platter Splatter's an easy one again. Double T's, those double consonants. And words that end in ER, also just really easy. This word didn't have a blank. I think it's actually easier to spot without the blank because Platter, I mean, that's just an easy one. And splatter, of course, another easy one. So that would be an 8-letter move. So if you have those letters or an S, some combination of those letters and the other letters already on the board, splatter is another easy one to find. You're going to see that when you get better at using all your letters, you're going to use some of the same words over and over and over again. And sometimes they'll be easier to spot than other times because the blank tile and the board can make finding the same word a little more difficult depending on the situation and the circumstances that you're dealt with. You just never know. Started this game, haven't used all my letters, obviously with the rack I have, 6 vowels. I'm not going to be able to use all my letters anytime soon. This game I did a very easy word, relates. That's just another very easy, very simple word to find. Did not use a blank. You don't need a blank for those letters. It's just very simple. Very great blend of consonants and vowels. I had 3 vowels, 4 consonants. It's going to tell you can have a big move. Of course, if you most likely it's going to end in an S. Just got to find a place. Is there anywhere where you can slap an S and have enough room to use up all your letters? And interestingly, I maybe I'll use all my letters again right here because, and I do have less. A lot of words end in less. I may not quite have it yet, but I can have it, of course, very soon, I imagine. Meanwhile, this is also something, when I used all my letters right here and did relates, I only scored like 45, 50 points, and I opened up a huge space for my opponent, and they just ripped off a 114-point move. And sometimes when you use all your letters, it can be very sloppy from a defensive standpoint. You know, I always justify that if I'm scoring at least 50 points and I can use all my letters, I'm just gonna go. I don't care. I don't care about what the possibilities are for my opponent. I'm not gonna worry about it. Now, if you can use all your letters in more than one spot, then you need to be more mindful of it. But this particular game, I could not. I couldn't put the S anywhere else. You know, the plural form of fox is gonna be, you know, gonna require an ES. There was just nowhere for me to go, and so I just went ahead and did it. And of course, now I'm very badly behind in this game because I used all my letters. And you know, depending on who you're playing, depending on you know how you feel about using all your letters or not using all your letters. Now with those junky letters, RELATES, all 1-point letters except for the L, the amount of points I'm going to score is going to be minimal. Now I could have put the L above the O. I could have done like the word later right here, and that would have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 6, 27, 35, 30. It would have been 36 points, and defensively it would have been much better. Now if I was really trying to be smart, I probably could have gone there. If I were playing in a competition, I would have gone right there and scored 36 points. There was no need for me to do anything else. Okay, I apologize for the delay. I went ahead and found a move to go in this game, and we'll move on to the next board. Lost track of where I was again. I think we were down here probably. This game against my mom. Sorry about that. I have a new phone and I keep pressing the wrong buttons. This is a game with my mom. I did a short video on finding this move. It's actually a move I've done before. I was actually upset it took me as long as it did. I've done Song Lake, but as I said before, you know, I didn't have like in in my rack, the word like, so sometimes it's not the most immediate thing you're going to think of. I was really distracted by the ing potential. And please be mindful of some of the easier possibilities to use all your letters so you can jump from one to the next faster than I did on that particular occasion. And then here, down here, I played the word grooves. Didn't have a blank for that one. Really didn't need one. I think it was actually maybe easier without the blank. You know, I had 3 vowels, and you know, presumably the word might end in an S, and so group those O's together as usual, and the word kind of became pretty easy to find. And but that was a good one. I've used all my letters twice in this game already. Still got a little ways to go. Next game, this game, so far nothing, but actually I have the word baggier. Wait, can I put it anywhere? The MU, I think baggies. There we go. Had something slightly better, but... And we can almost use all our letters again. Temperer? Maybe, depending on what our opponent puts down, we might have something. Those 2 R's gonna be a little difficult to work with, but possibly. This game I've used all my letters twice. I did sprayed and steering. Steering, of course, ing word. Always gonna be one of the easier ones to find. And sprayed, I did not have a blank in. I did have a blank in that one, right there. So the S was a blank. I had the word prayed. Can be a little difficult navigating where that Y should go, but that one was pretty simple. Again, like I said, you're just gonna see a lot of everyday easy words, and that's what you're seeing. Not a whole lot of difficult words here. Just good at finding the easy ones, and you know, it may not be a talent at all. You know, it takes some time, but it's just saying it's not as hard as you may think it is. This game I have not used all my letters yet. Looks like I can go right there though and score a quick 40. Here's another one. Over and out. I say this all the time. Over and out. Here I did overstep. No blank in there. The overstep. Very easy to find. And once again, I have the over in my... I didn't have OVER in my rack. So once I saw I could use all my letters, just look for a spot. Over is one of the ones I quickly think of because I use it so often. Out is another one. I usually see those pretty instantaneously, and you know, it's a good one to find. So we're right there. Let's go to this board. This board I've used on my letters twice. I did umpires, a little bit more of a difficult one. I did not have a blank for the. Actually, I did. I had the P. Once again, using a blank. So you're gonna see me using blanks a lot when I'm using my letters. And then I did the word smearing. Just another ing. I mean, if you have ing, right, and one other vowel, and you're gonna work off probably one other vowel on the board for 3 vowels in the word. Get that good blend of vowels and consonants. A word that ends in ing, it becomes pretty simple to find these once you get a little bit used to it. Ing, just try it everywhere. If you have ing and you have a big word, again, if the meter's telling you have a big word, try it everywhere and see what you can do. This game I've not used all my letters. My opponent did. They did valors, and they did use a blank. The S was a blank, and there's a lot of words that have alternate spellings. So So valors, I believe, can be spelled V-A-L-O-R-S and also V-A-L-O-U-R-S. And you have to be very mindful of those alternative spellings, because they do accept spellings from like the UK. Sometimes that extra U can be in there. Something to look out for, as for sure. It's something to look out for. This game, another easy one. I did the word stroked. Very simple word. Did I use a blank? I did use a blank, and the blank was the E. So again, the meter tells you have a big move. You have S-T-R-O-K-D. It's pretty. I mean, the blank has to be a vowel in that instance. If it's a vowel, it's almost always going to be, well, I'm not going to say almost always, but a lot of the times it will be an E. It's a great place to start. Word that ends in ED, it's a great place to start as well. Stroked, very simple. And looking at my tiles now, can use my letters again? Maybe. Thinking of the word sledgier over there on the right side, but I don't think that woke I is a word, so I don't know if sledge here is a word, but that's the first one that came to mind. Sometimes when you have a D and an S in your rack, it can be a little difficult, and of course the easiest way to see if you can use other letters is just ask the word meter, and just put something down. Pretty easy. And alright, so 15 points is almost my best move. So now we know I cannot use all my letters. I don't think anything goes beneath the Z-E-N, so you don't have to worry about that. And score a little 21 points and move on to the next move in that game. These games just started against Heather, so not gonna be anything there. Here we go, leaners, another very simple one. I did not use a blank, but I had EAE, had 3 vowels, easiest vowels you can work with. You know that probably the EA is going to be together in some part of the word, and words that end in ERS. I mean, come on. Leaners is a very simple one to find. Should be finding that one at a very high rate. Let's see about this board. Oneself, I just played this one. A little more of a difficult one, but very doable. You see I did have a blank in this one, right here where the S was. So we had O-E-E. So a decent chance that the blank tile is going to be a consonant for a 7-letter move. I mean, if it's an 8-letter move, you might see that 4th vowel. There's a lot of words with 4 vowels, but I kind of lean towards the side of consonant. But you're just looking for, a lot of times you're looking for compound word opportunities when it becomes a little bit unclear what it can be, and we'll be talking about that more as this video progresses. But oneself, you know, a little bit more of a difficult one, but very, very doable. Here I did the word convene. Is that my only one? I think so. So convene, that's a little bit more of a trickier one. That's kind of tough. I did have a blank. Like I said, you're going to see I use the blank a lot when I can use all my letters. So, you know, C-O-N, a lot of words start in C-O-N. A lot of words incorporate both that C and that V. So if you can use other letters and you have a C and a V, you know, a lot of words start in C-O and V, or some variety of that. Maybe not the N necessarily, or the O, but some variety of that. Or C-O-N rather, and you know the rest. But whatever I just said. But again, that's a tougher one, but also very doable. Here almost have equated, but the F is in the way, so we'll have to wait and see if do I do that, do I not? I always lean towards not doing that, but you can do it what you want. Now if I put the D there, I do not block the word latexes. That should just make it a little more powerful of a move. I'll have to think about that one. Let's look at the next game. We just looked at this one, right? Oh, no, okay. We're right where we're supposed to be. This game, I've not used all my letters yet. I do have a blank, so kind of heading in that direction. But we'll see. Well, probably can go right there. I'm only going to do moves if it's all using all my letters or it's a very obvious one. Very obvious one. Here I've used all my letters twice. I did ship side. This was just another kind of one of those compound word opportunities. You see the word ship, you see the word side. You know, just trying words. Very start of the game. I think it was my first move of the game. I think my opponent may have gone first. You can always see. Go to dictionary. Click this button in the top right corner. You can see that. Start at the bottom. Yeah, first move of the game was Zaz, and then I did ship side. So basically, I could see I could use all my letters, and did have a blank, and it's just like, if it's an 8-letter move, you know, where's it gonna play off of? Probably not the Z. I already had 3 vowels, so maybe not the A. So maybe it's a word with at least 2 S's, maybe a third S. So you see, you can use all your letters. You're kind of limited in opportunities and possibilities. I don't have an A, so probably doesn't rub against that Z. Okay, so it's probably going to be a horizontal move and not a vertical move. And you see the word ship. You see the word side. I remember when I found that word, I felt I got lucky, but you know, my mind is always like, if I have the blank and a decent rack, I'm going to use all my letters anyway. I'm going to save the blank until I can use all my letters. So if I didn't use it then, I would have used it very soon thereafter. And then Ernest, I think that was all my letters. That's another easy one. You know, 3 vowels, 4 consonants, EAE, once again. Same kind of letters. Probably even missed some other possibilities with that rack. That's a good rack. And next game, using my letters one time in this game, I did waiters, or waitress rather. I remember I saw I had the word waiters, and then realized I couldn't do it. So I saw I had waitress, and then ironically in the very next game, or in another game, like on the very next play, I did the word waiters against somebody else. But you can see that S right there is a blank. And the other S is a blank that my opponent used. But the S I used was a blank. Again, using my letters with a blank. It's the easiest thing. You know, you see these very kind vowels once again, A, I, E. And you know they're going to be separated with those consonants. So I had waiters. But I did an 8-letter move with the board. But waiters is a very simple one to find. And you should be finding that one at a very high rate. Next game. This game, I used all my letters one time. It was potting. I mean, that's so easy. It's a TTING word. I mean, the P is a blank. I mean, that's like one of the friendliest racks you can get. Should be using all your letters every time there. If it had been an 8-letter word, spotting most likely would have been the one. And you know, other letters can go where that P is going, of course. But that's a TTING word, and that's really just so simple. You always, when you see ING, you're just gonna, if you're just starting to use all your letters a lot, or just starting to get better at doing it, or just trying to learn it, period, always look for ING. Keep that ING together as much as you can. Don't keep it together too long, because sometimes it can get a little clunky or messy, or if the board's not really in a good place to use all your letters, then there's less of a reason. But still, ING also just tacks on to words so well as in addition to that. So sometimes you can just throw ING on the end of a word. A lot of words do not end in INGS. The S is very stubborn to go on the end of ing, so be mindful of that. It's not going to work as well as often as you think it will. And there's probably some, you know, sophisticated English rule about that. I don't know. It either works or it doesn't work. It's something I need to know if I'm in a competition, but for now, I don't really care. Let's see, this game, once again, didn't use all my letters in this game. So, there's games like that. Just no situation that's gonna quite do it for you. This game we already looked at. Not in that game. Or see what letters we have there. Ooh. The first word that came to mind is repeated. So sometimes when I'm quiet, when I'm looking at a word, I'm already thinking of something and I'm like, oh, can I go somewhere? I saw the word repeated. It can't go anywhere. So repeated is not the word here. But this is a great rack of letters. It's E-A-E, like I've been saying, with the T. Word's probably going to end in E-D. First word I thought of was repeated. Does the word start in a D? Maybe not. We have the word adept. But can we use our letters right here? I would think the answer's got to be yes. I think the blank has got to be a consonant. A lot of words also start in T. It's another compound, very friendly compound word opportunity you can look for is words that start with T-E-A, like tea house is one, teapot, or teapots rather. There's a bunch of them. There's actually quite a few. It's pretty crazy how many there are. Now, what I'm thinking in here is I can probably save my blank. I can score 43 points right here. Sometimes when you can save your blank and still score a lot of points, keep the blank. You know, especially that's a little bit of a defensive play because the P is rubbing against that triple letter, so there's not that really big opportunity for the triple letter, triple word combination. So I'm just going to go right there. And is bejeezy a word? Bejeez, something like that? Maybe. Bejeez. Bejeez. I don't know. I have to think about that one. Otherwise, we may be waiting, but G-E-Z, of course, is a word, so... And where were we? We haven't looked at this board. So in this game, I've used all my letters twice. And talk about over and out. Both of these words were out, and they were back to back. I remember when I did this. That out voice, you'll be seeing that on a future clip because that was a huge move. That was like 170 points. But I did out ride, very easy one to find. Again, there was no blank in that one. There was a blank in out voice, but both of these, you know, I see the word out, I'm trying to start a word without, period. I mean, every time I see out's I think more effective than over. Out is lethal. It's just, it goes in front of so many words. And sometimes when you look up the definition, you won't even see one. I don't even know if they accept more words than they should. I don't know. Once again, there's probably some really cool little English, you know, rule that accompanies that little bit of information, and I don't know what it is. I should ask AI and probably have AI teach it to me, and then I can not sound so ignorant on these videos of mine. But since someone's watching, what's it matter? My last video has 4 views, so who cares? But if you want to get better at using all your letters without having to worry about learning the English rules while you're at it, hey, listen to me. But I will actually, I'm probably gonna, some of these things I know, but I'm not gonna speak like I know it if I'm not 100% sure, because I sure as hell don't want to give the wrong information out. But some of these rules I may nail down and have a video on that, just to make it maybe even easier. If they make a lot of sense, maybe it'll be even easier to look for things and know what not to look for. But out voice, out ride, pretty easy moves. You see out, just try words after out. You really are looking for a 4 or 5 letter move after you find out. Just looking for any 4 or 5 letter word that accepts out in front. That's it. Like just like the IER, just like the IEST, you're looking for a 4 or 5 letter move that ends in IER or IEST. So, like I said, you're just gonna see a lot of easy words. You're gonna see I'm using all my letters a lot, but I'm not blowing. I'm not stretching out the dictionary to find these words. These are very everyday common words, and you can find them too, I'm telling you. This game, I have not used all my letters yet. This game, I did whelmed, and I did grieved. I was thinking of the word overwhelmed. Actually, I didn't use all my letters there. I tacked that W on and did a horizontal move. But I did do grieved. And this isn't the grieve where you're crying about someone. This is something else. This is a piece of plate armor for the leg between the knee and the ankle. It's like a shin guard if you play soccer, except for an activity that's much more violent. But grieved. I was thinking of the word grieved like you would grieve for someone, you know, but I didn't know the word grieved. Okay, so I kind of got a little lucky with that one because grieved, I think it's spelled G-I-R-E-V-E-D. But I was thinking of that word, and I kind of just backed into this one. And sometimes you can get a little lucky like that. On this particular occasion, I did get lucky. Looks like maybe I can use all my letters again. What board was I on? Yeah, maybe. Almost had the word toasted, but we don't. I gotta charge my phone. Let's see. That charger doesn't work. Alright, I don't think I have many more of these to go through, and I'm really sitting down awkwardly, so let's check this board. So here again, very easy words. I did beaters and loiters. Now, beaters is one of the easiest words I think in the game. I've probably done this one 20-30 times. B-E-A-T-E-R-S. Again, you don't even need the blank for that one. It's just very simple to find. A word that ends in E-R-S, and then look, it's just a 4-letter word with E-R-S on the end. Same with loiters. Now, loit's not a word, but loiters is another easy one. I've done loiters so many times. Loitered, loiters. I've done that probably 10, 20, 30 times. I mean, it's a really simple one to find, and it's one to look out for. Absolutely it is. Here again, I did the word squalid. That's a little bit difficult. Absolutely it is. But you know, I had a cue. The board's telling me I can use all my letters, so I know the blank is the U is a blank, right? So I know the blank is going to be a U. And squalid, tough word to find. Maybe you don't find that one, but if you're guessing at it, you kind of know that the blank is going to be a U, and you know probably it's going to be an A or an I after that, and then it's just a matter of figuring out the rest, and you kind of already have 4 of the 7 letters put together, so it kind of becomes easy. But if you can't do that one, you can definitely do the one on top. Out here is just another, you know, OUT word. I'm telling you, OUT and ING, if you're just trying to use all your letters, words that end in ERS, words that start in out, words that start in over, words that end in ING, just start with that. Start with just a simple little package. Start with a little package and continue to build on it. And you're going to get better at this, I'm telling you. And the blank's just going to make it easier. It's going to make it easier to package those letters. Can I use all my letters right here? Looks like I have yearner. And again, it's just another easy one. Can I put it anywhere? Maybe. I think we can. Maybe we can't. Maybe we can't. It's E-W-E-R is not a word. ESO is not a word. Oh, we can put it right here. Not as fun, not as many points. You know, we're yearning for something better, but it's okay. We got something. Just use all our letters in that game for the first time. And did we look at that? Yes, we did. This looks like, oh, I used all my letters here. Greeter. Another simple one. First move of the game. You can use all your letters. The third E is a blank. I could have done the word greater just as well. So easy. First move of the game, you can use all your letters. You already have 2 E's. You got a blank. You got 4 consonants. Probably ends in ER. I mean, come on. You got to find this. You got to find this. It's too simple. I'm telling you. You just got to get better at this. Finding it. And you're going to... I'm telling you, you're going to get... You're going to watch this video and be like, no wonder I use these letters so much. I mean, he's finding the easiest words ever. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's simple. Check this board. Not yet there. I have a blank in my hand, but also have 5 vowels. So it's not happening there. We just did one there. We just did that move. We just did a couple of these moves. Where were we? Here, this game. I didn't use all my letters at all in this game. And that's as easy as it gets. I didn't use it at all. You don't have to use all your letters every game. How much easier can that get? You don't have to use all your letters every game. Here we did the word dangers. You tell me you can't find the word dangers. The D was a blank. I mean, come on. How easy is this? The D is a blank, okay? I got an A and an E. So, the blank in this situation could be a vowel, could be a consonant. But, you know, I could have looked for ing. Dangers just spoke to me. I went with that first. I don't really see an ing move off the top of my head. It could be there. It probably is there. I'm not as good at this as you think I am. It's just telling you, it's just not as hard as it has to be. Here I did the word mailman. That's a little bit of a tricky one, but again, that's a compound word. And when it gets tricky, look for compound words. I had a blank. I had the word men. I had 2 M's. So in this situation, I quickly kind of figured out that double consonant situation that I've been talking about really wasn't applicable here. So you got to break those M's up. And then you look for a compound word opportunity. You know, the word men. And then mailmen just kind of popped out at me. And that one's a little tougher. You know, sometimes I find that one, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends. Depends how much sleep you get the night before. Maybe other things. This game, I think I did the word toilers. Toilers, another easy one. Really, just the T and the L could be flipped, and I could have done loiters, except LE is not a word, so I couldn't do loiters, so I did toilers. And another very simple one, word that ends in ERS. Didn't have a blank there, didn't need one. The word nightfall, that would have been a fun one, but that was actually me adding fall on to that word, so I was not using all my letters there. Next game, looks like we have not used our letters here. Could have missed 1 or 2 along the way. Oh, I did epithet, and that's a tough one. That is a tough one. You know, maybe it'll be more epithetical of you to find a word like that once you get better at this, or once you've practiced. think I got the definition right there. But epithet, that's a tough word. But let's see, did I have a blank there? Epithets. I did have a blank. The S was a blank. And, you know, it's just one of those tough ones that just kind of just jumped out at me. And sometimes you find this, sometimes you don't. Next game. Nothing yet. Next game. Shotted. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? SHOTTED. The second T was a blank. Again, using all my letters with a blank. And pretty simple one right there. I don't think travels. I used all my letters for that one. Here I did the word motives. Pretty simple one, I think. A lot of words in IVES. So IVE, you know, once you see that, the S is a blank. So, I mean, it kind of almost kind of spells itself. I mean, word ends in IVE. I have MOT, I have a blank. Try IVE out and you find it pretty easily. It looks like my opponent did benefit down here at the bottom. And that's a good move as well. Here I did the word recapped. Another one with the double consonants, recapped. That's a fun one. A little bit harder, but words that start in RE. I mean, a lot of words start in RE, so it's always something to look for. You see the word capped, you have RE. Kind of makes it a little easier to find. Those double consonants, like I said, PP. And also did Harrier. A word ends in IER, just a 4-letter word with IER at the end. That's a very simple one. So I used all my letters 3 times in this game. I did week long. This is another compound word opportunity where you see the word week and you're like, well, can I build upon that? You see the word long. Week long kind of becomes pretty simple when you think about it. It's just a compound word, 2 simple words put together to make something, to mean something else. That's all a compound word is. Sometimes I say compound word and it's 2 words put together that means what it should mean, and then it's actually not a compound word. But so and then here we looked at that. So most recent games. Did the word vaulted. A very simple word to find. The U was a blank. So I had 2 consonants already, VLET, D. It's not going to be a little difficult to find, but you can probably figure out that the blank tile could very easily be a vowel. This situation was a U. That's a little bit of a tricky one, but not too difficult. Again, it's a very common word. Here I did rainouts. Just throwing the out on the other side of the word. I find very few words where a word actually ends in out, but there's some, and that's one of them. Looks like that was my only one in this game. And this game, did karting. Just another ing word. Pretty simple, I would think. And over here I did the word storage. All right, another very easy one. Words that end in AGE, look for those all the time. AGE, IVE, and my opponent found the word cosmetic. That's a tough one. Okay. Next game, grenades. I've done grenades quite a few times. And then recites. Recites, I always think of recites. The first word I think of when I say recites is the one that's spelled R-E-C-I-T-E-S. But recites, just think, you know, instead of reciting something out loud, it's just a different location of something. So recites, just the first move of the game. So meters telling you can use all your letters. You see the word sites, you put the RE in front. It actually becomes pretty simple to find. And I don't know if I had another word right there or not. Same with grenades. I've done grenades many times. And those are the only two in that game. Just two everyday words, pretty easy to find. First move of the game, always pretty easy to find because you know it's got to be something. And you just got to keep looking until you find it. But there's plenty of situations where first move of the game I cannot find it. And so it's not always going to be easy. Here, ended the game in realist. Looks like my only one. So this was a little bit tough because I knew the word had to likely end in a T to do the word twit. You know, again, you need somewhere to move, to put that move off somewhere. You need room to put the move down. And I was thinking the like has to end in a T, and it took me a while to figure this one out, but I did finally figure it out. Sometimes it helps if you give it a good look, set the game aside, come back to it a little later, and look at it with fresh eyes. Sometimes you see things you didn't see the first time, and that can help a lot. And we're pretty much here at the end. This game I did reenact and roundlet. A lot of words in the LET. Also did aunties there at the top. I've done aunties quite a few times. It's a fun one, and that one's a little trickier. But if you can see, you can use all your letters, and there's really nowhere to go. And you look up at the top, and you're like, well, the word has to start in an A, or an I, or an E. I guess it could start in 3 different letters. And you think about it. You can find aunties. The word ends in IES. I've done aunties quite a few times. Reenact, first move of the game. And did I have a blank? I did not. That's a simple one to find though. I've done it many times. Just another word that starts in RE. And roundlet, you see the word round and let. And it's just another compound word. Again, you see a theme with every time I use all my letters, it's part of the same theme. It's not me being some masterful brainiac. Just me finding things that pretty easy to find. And here down at the bottom I did the word squires. You already saw I did the word squires. I do squires a lot. And you can put that E in front and do esquire too. If you have 2 E's and 1 less S, you can do esquire. And there at the top I did grandson. That's the first time I've done grandson. I was pretty proud of that move. That was a good one. That was a hard one to find, in all honesty. But you see, you can use all your letters, and there's limited opportunities to go down. You also only have 1 vowel, so you know you have to play off another vowel. And when you factor those things in, it becomes a lot easier to see where the move has to go. And I found grandson, and I was pretty proud of that one. That'll probably be on a future video. And we're down here at the end. These are dice challenge games. I think that's it. So we've gone through them all. And I think you see the theme. I can do this again when I have another 30-40 games, different games to go through, and I've used all my letters quite a few times. These are the things you have to look for. You see, I've used a blank probably in half of these moves. And you can see I'm not averaging much more than 1 per game. A couple games with 2, a few games with 0, 1 or 2 with 3. I haven't had one with 4 in a while, or 5. I've had a game with 6 or 7 before. I've had 2 or 3 games in my history of playing where I use all my letters the first 4 or 5 moves of the game. Hasn't happened in a while. You just got to get lucky. But again, you can get better at using all your letters, and you can build upon this skill set and just get better at it every day. And you know, we added a couple to that just now during this video. And I usually use all my letters a few times every day. Sometimes, you know, I'll wake up, I'll use them all like 4, 5, 6 times, you know, before I get out of bed. I mean, it's, you know, I have days like that where I'm just, every single board's like, damn, I'm using all my letters again. And it's, to me, it's the best feeling of playing this game. And I've felt it a lot now, so I feel it less. But, you know, you can see I have 8,000 wins, 2,000 losses, so I've played 10,000 games. I've used all my letters 10,600 times. So it took me a long time to get to where I was at a ratio of 1-1, and now I'm just slightly better than that, just very slightly. But I was behind that for a very long time, so, you know, it takes a while to get to that point. It takes, you know, a couple thousand games, really, of looking for the same kind of opportunities over and over again and slowly getting better at it. But I'm going to shut up. It's a long video, but I believe it's beneficial if you're trying to use all your letters more, and it's going to improve your game a lot. But that's all I have for today. I'll have another one soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.